Okay. Okay, so it's recording the screen.
Sweet.
Okay, so this is our website. So if you go to reachpna.org, I guess I can use this keyboard and mouse. Sometimes this bar doesn't show up. You have to hit refresh. So this is our web page. This is how you get access to where you're going to enter in information. So if you go over to this resources tab and click on this data library, that's where all the stuff is. So you're going to go there. You're going to log in. And unfortunately, I have to give you my login because my login is the one that has all this information. So I'm going to give it to you. And that's my password. So just don't abuse it. You know, like don't give it to anybody. You know, I'm going to trust you guys with that. So don't give it to anybody. And so I'm going to give this to you so you don't have to worry about writing it down right now.
Okay.
It's like 15-character login password, so I'm sorry. Okay, so you're going to log in. And when you log in, you're going to go to Manage Data. And under Manage Data is where all these publications are listed. This is kind of like a queue for all the pubs and actually all of our data. So I'm going to give you access to this. But just don't monkey around with anything else. If you just follow the instructions on what I give you, I think we'll be okay. And I'm gonna, you know, I can assign you other logins, but I think we'll be all right with this. Are you guys planning on doing this at the same time? Like,
I don't know. Well, she said it's something I can take home over the break.
Yeah, that's what she told me
yeah,
too.
Yeah, it's fine. Yeah, that'll work. That's fine. Just if you're both doing it at the same time, there might be a conflict where you're logged in and she's logged in and you both add a record. I don't think it'll be a problem. So it's probably
change, like, numbers or something.
Yeah, it probably would only happen if you guys were hit the enter button exact same time. So probably is very highly unlikely. So okay. So publications are what we're interested in entering in. So you're essentially going to be entering in these records. So each one of these, somebody's entered in. So somebody's went in, said, I'm going to create a record. They've put this information in, and they've put in some other stuff about it. They've said commit, and then it gets put in here. And so we're essentially want to do the same thing. So I'm going to go through and add a publication, and I'm also going to show you, but before I do that, I'm going to show you where you can look at the syntax for like how this is kind of listed. Because it says publication, journal article, and then there's this citation, and then it says published. So it's kind of like there's some information in front of the citation, there's some information at the end of the citation. So at the top here, I've got this data dictionary. And if you go to that, it opens up a new page, so you can always go back to that page. And if you go to publication groupings, it has a list of like what are all the potential types of pubs that you might see. Like, so you might be looking at this list and you might see something and it says conference paper, or it says journal article, or it is a journal article, you know. But then we want to list journal article. So so let's say I had this list. You're sitting here and you're looking at this list of pubs. So there's some pubs here. And so let's say you're starting for the first one, John Abatsoglu, 2011, development of gridded surface meteorological data, blah, 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 blah. Okay, so you look at that and you go, okay, first one, International Journal of Climatology. Oh, that's a journal. That's a journal article. So journal article. So you would be typing, when you entered in this information, it would say publication, journal article. You would put all that information in there, and you would pay published because it's a published article. So it doesn't say accepted or anything like that. Sometimes they do say that. Like here's one, it says under review at ecography. So it hasn't been published yet.
Okay.
So this is where you can get information, like that little link is where you can get information on, I don't really know what this is. Like this says, you know, is this a webinar? Is it a thesis? You can come here and look and see, well, how should I categorize it? And right below that is what's at the end. These are all the options. It's either accepted, awaiting publication, published. There's accepted twice. I have to take that out. But anyways, but these are the options for the potential options of when you look at something and you can say, well, what is this paper? Usually it's going to be accepted or published.
Okay.
That's usually what it's almost always going to be. It's either been published, meaning it's live, it's out there, or it's not. And so usually it's that those other interim stages typically don't happen. So
yeah. So what is in review and under review? What's the difference?
Yeah, I don't know. I think I took this right from the USDA thing, and so I think that there's some duplication in here. So in review and under review, if there's something, I'll fix this. I'll fix this accepted and under review. It'll just say accepted and in review, and this will be gone, and that will be gone. So don't worry about that. So okay, so those are the only two things really in that little data dictionary that is just some information that you could be like, what are those words in front of the citation, and how are they grouped? So if I go back to this, and let's just add a publication. And so what you do is you go to this little link here. It says create standalone metadata. So this creates a brand new record.
Okay.
So I go up here, say that. Okay, so I'm ready to go. So I'm ready to start adding data. And so this is a little tabbed interface that lets you enter in information for this particular record. So for this particular record, the metadata identification information is already populated, automatically stuck in there. And for all pubs, they are non-geographic data sets. So we go. That's the first thing I do. And that's a non-geographic data set. And then I would go to the next tab. So I'd go to the metadata contact information. And I'd be like, what's the organization? Who's the organization that published this publication? And so this is kind of hard to tell because it doesn't say who he is, but John Abotsoglu is at the University of Idaho. So you may have to be like, what university is this guy at? You might have to type in John Abotsoglu or Abotsoglu JT in Google, and you'll see, you may already know, but that's probably the easiest way of doing it. I hate to say it. But you want to be like, okay, this guy is University of Idaho. He has an email address of, well, okay, I'm going to strike this. For the metadata contact information, just put, I got to look to see what I did for the other ones, but I believe it's just me. Because there's a difference between the metadata contact and the actual contact of the person who did the article. So let me just check a previous record here. Okay, so it looks like I put them down, and I also probably did the same thing. Kate Painter. So, okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to put them and me. So we'll go create a standalone metadata record. We'll say it's a non-geographic data set. We'll go to the next tab and say, okay, who's the person or what's the institution? We'll go University of Idaho. We'll put John Abotsoglu's email. And he is the investigator. Or the author. You could also put author, but I think we've been putting principal investigator. And okay, so that's one metadata contact. And so I'm going to add another one. If I hit this little plus, it adds a second one. And so then I can add another metadata contact, and I'm going to go University of Idaho, and I'm going to add myself. So I've been doing this to all records. I'm putting them down, and then I put me down, and I put myself as the custodian. And so if I hit 1, it shows his record, and then it shows my record. Okay, so you don't have to save anything yet. When you hit save, it will save everything. So we're going to go to the next thing. So you've done the metadata identification. You've done the metadata contact. Don't have to worry about date. Nothing to put in there. Metadata standard. Don't have to put anything in there. And the metadata reference. Don't have to put anything in there. So you're only filling out the identifier and the contact information under metadata. So, okay, the next tab here, if I go to identification, it now changes these. Okay, so now this is identification citation. So this is what is the actual citation that we have here. And so this is where I would go publication, colon, I think it was colon, I can't remember the syntax I did. I think it was publication dash journal article. Oh shit. Sorry, I'm sorry. I can't remember how I did that. So let's just look real quick so we're not wasting our time here. Dash colon. Okay, so it was publication dash journal article colon and then the actual article. So if I go back to what I was doing to that publication journal article colon. Now, if I think we can get the stuff to you electronically, so it'd be an electronic thing, so you can just cut and paste it, so you don't have to type all the stuff in. So this, I'm just doing this here because this is a final list of pubs for year 3, but we have the electronic version, so I can give you the electronic version so you can cut and paste that. So let's just assume that I type that in there. I don't want to. So I'm going to put all that information in there, and then I'm going to say period published like that. Excuse me. Okay, so there should be also a. Oops. If you accidentally do that, you can always hit negative, the minus, and it will get rid of those.
Okay.
So resource date is today's date. That's the date you're putting this information in. So it's like 2014. I think I've been putting in the actual. I'm like 11 dash. What's today?
12/04.
Yeah, dash 04 dash 2014, and then creation date. So it's like is that what I've been doing? That was a publication date, yeah. So it's the publication date. And so that's the date of when this journal was published. And so that is 2011. So it says 2011. Okay, so that's, okay, so I'm done with citation. Now the abstract, typically if you go online and you find this article, like if I went online and I said, they actually have the DOI here listed. DOI 1002-JOC.3413. Oh, it's because. Okay, so that's actually 2013. That's wrong. That date is wrong. It says that. So there's the article, and so they're like, it's an abstract. So you could be like, okay, copy that over here and boom, abstract. Okay, so contact, point of contact, and this is where I put John Abatzoglu, University of Idaho. I think he's a associate professor, and so I would put him as a point of contact because he's the person that is in the article. If there are multiple people in the article, this is kind of convoluted, but like if there are multiple names here, you're looking for the REACCH researcher. You're looking for the REACCH person that's part of that. So there could be like 4 or 5 people on the article, but then I may need to give you a list of these researchers. You're not going to be able to know them all. So when I just automatically know that's Georgine Yorgi and Chad Kruger at WSU, but you're not going to know that. So, and you're not going to know that Chad Kruger is the primary person that you should put down there. So you need to have a list of that information. So let me do that. So, Okay. So you're gonna put in this guy's name, John Abatzoglu, University of Idaho. John Abatzoglu, University of Idaho, assistant professor, and there's other contact information down here, but we haven't really been putting that in here. So I think for now we'll just leave that blank because it gets a little. You're gonna have to go through and find all this information. I think it'll be a little difficult. So let's just put in the the author's name, their organization, and their position. And if there are multiple people that are part of REACCH that are on this, then we would add that extra person. Then we would go add another person and put their name down here. And so in this instance, we would put nobody because he's the only person listed on the thing. So, okay. And you guys can obviously ask me questions about this as you put this stuff in here. So, okay. So that's the contact information. Nothing for the thumbnail. Don't have to worry about that. Okay, keywords. Keywords are always going to be, what is it? It's a publication, and it's a journal article. The person's last name, Abatzoglu. The year, 2013, and I think that's it. Oh, and I also put their institution. So in this instance, I've been putting like U Idaho, like that. And so for those articles for searching, we can always change this and add additional keywords. But for now, that suffices for doing a basic search. Constraints, nothing. Nothing for you guys to worry about. Resources, nothing. And then so the last one is distribution. And the distribution is where it is online. So it's the link to it online. So sometimes there's a link and sometimes there's not a link. And that's what these DOIs are. And sometimes I don't know if you know what it's a digital object identifier. The library assigns DOIs to books and publications. And it's that, like this number right here, where it says DOI 10.10.1002/JOC.3413. That's a DOI number. And you'll see some other ones down here, like there's another one, DOI, blah, 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 blah. That's a permanent link where that can always be found and always be. So if I type that in, I'm going to be able to get access to where that is in whatever publication institution might have published that. And so sometimes they're listed, sometimes they're not. What I would always do is when you get to this one, this is where you're going to have to search for the article. You have to go to Google and be like, okay, let me put this article in here and see where I can find it. Like this one, like right here, it says WSU Extension Fact Sheet. Okay, so that's not a peer-reviewed published article. It's a published fact sheet, but it's not peer-reviewed. So there's probably not going to be a DOI. There's just probably going to be a link to it. Sometimes there's not a link. So if you search for something and you don't find it, then it just may not be available online. There may not be a link to it. And if that's the case, then there isn't anything to put in here. But if there is, actually, this one is the DOI itself. So like right here, that right there is what you would put in. You would be like copy, that would be, it's this one right here, not the format. You don't have to worry about the format. You go in here and you put that in there like that. And under function, it's information, because it's not a downloadable data set, it's just an informational data set. And so that would be the link that you would put. And so we went through the identification. So we added this information there. We added some contact information. We didn't add any of that. The identification tab, we added the citation information. We added abstract information. We added some contact information. We added some keywords. And then we added this distribution information. So I did all that. Let's see. It's going to tell me you haven't done everything. Oh, I didn't do this. So topical category. So under identification, resource classification is one thing that you have to fill out under resource. I forgot. So identification, resource classification, you have to group this as something. It has to be grouped here. And so this is not a type. It's not a type functionality. It's you know, it's an area. It's like a discipline. And so it would be like, okay, well, what discipline does this fall in? You know, so you have to be able to look at this and be like, oh, you know, gridded meteorological data, modeling. I would put this as atmospheric and climatic because it's about, you know, it's a climatology one, it's atmosphere and climate. So I would do that. And so if you get it wrong, or if you don't know, it just doesn't really, it's not explanatory, then you can ask me, or you could make it something and then just make a note, save it and make a note and say, I didn't really know what to make the topical category, but I made it the first one, and it has to be, you know, somebody has to go back and add what the appropriate one is or something. Because you're not going to be able to save it until you've checked one of these. Okay, so if I save it now, it'll take a second. Sometimes it takes a little bit to save, maybe like 15 seconds. Let's just give it a sec. Probably saying saving down here, saving document. And I hope it works. So this is sometimes the first save of the day is the longest because it has to do, it's doing something, but once you've saved it one time, then the next time it's not that long. So I don't know why it's taking so long. Usually it is. Let's give it a second. Never freezes on me either. I've never had it freeze. So there, okay, so it finished. So okay, so now you save that data set. So if I go back to manage data, it should show up in my queue as publication, journal article, bunch of junk, published, and it, you know, and it shows it as posted. So posted means it's not available to the world. If somebody goes to the site and searches for this, they're not going to find it. Somebody else has to look at it like me and say, okay, it's all good. And then I will approve it and it will go to the world. So you're not, you don't have to worry that if you published, you know, you saved it, that it's accessible to anybody. It's not. You know, it still has to go through a level of review. So, okay. So that's really it. It's going through these steps, adding that publication, going to the next one. And so I haven't really talked much about this, but we got publications that are already in here that we probably want you guys to look at also. But I thought, at least initially, we would get you going and just trying to enter in new publications. And as you become familiar with that and familiar with the metadata editing, that then you'll be able to go back and look at the other ones and say, oh, you know, I noticed that this one says publication, journal article, but it's not a journal article, or the year is wrong, or, you know, I noticed a typo, or I don't know. But anyways, but for now, I think we should just focus on, you guys get a list, you try to get in as many as you possibly can, and then we give you a list to take home over the holidays and you try to enter those in. And so, okay, so I'm going to stop there. What do you guys think? Do you have questions? Was something not clear? I can go back through this.
I think it's pretty self-explanatory. And if you have, are you going to send us the recording?
Yes, I am.
So I think
that'll be fine.
Okay, I can post. What I was going to do is I'll probably I'll either send it to you or I'll post it to YouTube somewhere, and then you can just watch. I'll just send you the link, and then you can watch it.
Okay.
So I need to do that. I need to send you a password and login. So I'll email that to you guys. So again, just be careful about that. And then I need to also I wrote down some things I need to deal with in terms of fixing some stuff on there. I'll do that. So you guys are thinking about doing some over the holidays?
Yeah.
Is that what we're doing? Okay, great. Okay. So I'm available anytime by email. So if you want, you know, I'm always checking my email. So if you email me with a question, that's great. I think one thing Diane was mentioning is maybe you could package up your questions and do them not like one at a time, but like if you're working on something and you're like, I really want to know what's up with this, that's fine. But if you have a bunch of questions, maybe like pull them together and send it to me every few days or something like that. If something's holding you back, then contact me. But if it's something you can just move on with, then just do that, you know. So we can just be efficient, you know. Okay, is there anything else? Manage data, the login. You don't need access to any specific network. You should be able to do this from home.
Okay.
I shouldn't need to be on the UI network. Make sure that you log out. And again, it won't show up here, but once we do publish it, then that stuff would show up, which is great. That's what we want. Okay, so I think that's it for now. Let me stop this recording. See if this works.